But this woman is like talking her ear off, talking his ear off, and this lady, crap, uh, Deidre Leaf Ever, played by Jean Elizabeth Smart, and she was like give the she gives the air of charming Southern belle attitude, and uh he just won't be left alone. But she's got kind of talking like I'm an image consultant. She pulled it out of him just to and he decides, okay, I'll talk to this lady. Look, I'm an image consultant, and it's like, what do you think and everything, like how much do you charge and what do you think? So long story short, during this aircraft ride, he decides like, okay, I will, in exchange for you to leave me the hell alone, I will give you some free, image consultant advice here. Get some blue contacts, shorten your hair a little bit, not too crazy, but just, uh, a little bit. And then uh, she is like self conscious about her, southern accent. He was like, no, like, keep that. That's your thing. That separates you from the pack. Keep the y'all. I like the y'all. And she's like a news reporter. He mentions like, you know, within 6 months to a year, you'll be running like the news anchor position. And lo and behold, she does. And it's funny because like this, normally this would play like an annoying one-off character, but she does come back around, which I thought was really nice because she's not a one-off character. And you got an actress like this because I've seen her in plenty of stuff growing up. You don't waste this type of actor's time with like a short little blip thing without it meaning something in the grand scheme of the narrative. But we'll get to that. So Russ comes home, uh, and you see him like just not taking anybody's crap. Then he's dealing with, or first he had to deal with this kind of politician, the senator lady who's crying, and he's just not very sympathetic at all. And I'm not sure how many people actually would do this. I would probably roll my eyes or just let her run through it, or just like, hey, okay, calm down, collect yourself. Here's what we're gonna do. He was like, it's only called the ambulance. And it's like, dude, how old are you? It's like, uh, I mean, I get it, but it's like, I would just told her respectfully, because some air of respect you gotta have. But he's on top of his field. He's like a few days away from from his 40th birthday. So I guess you get to that particular age where you really don't deal with people's crap or like nonsense. It's like okay, enough enough of that. Uh uh so his when he gets back home, his next itinerary, he's dealing with this sports at least this manager of this like stadium that uh he's supposed to do something for like charity. That's how it helps get the stadium. So if he doesn't do this, kind of, he tells him like, okay, what you're gonna do, you're gonna allow a bunch of these orphan kids put a pie in your face to show you how like a stand-up dude and real down-to-earth dude you are, which his assistant Amy thinks is kind of like, oh, this dude is an awful person. Why would you help this guy like that? Well, kind of, he needs freaking money. This is his freaking job. You should know this. But these two have a thing for each other. She's a little bit more of a little bit more upfront about it because she clearly like you know, likes him and is the only one that kind of like, tells him off, and he kind of, you know, lets it slide more so than others. Then, uh, but you see that, when he gets to the office, like his father's showing up. He doesn't want to deal with this kind of stuff. He's strained relationship clearly, and doesn't want to be bothered helping him move uh, to a new house. So when he gets home, he finds this little red toy airplane that used to belong to him as a kid, and he thought his father like planted that. But then he started to notice some weird kid popping up at his freaking house. Uh, and he thought he was hallucinating, so he ends up going to the psychiatrist, which I wish was a little fleshed out more because could have gotten something out of it. But then again, that's the whole point of this film. But we kind of touch on the fact that like he notices how when he's upset, his left eye twitches. Uh, and she points that out, and he gets kind of, he kind of freaks out, and like he thinks like, oh, it's all in my head. I just need to take some freaking drugs so that way it can all stop, because I'm very busy, man. I don't got time for all this psychobabble nonsense, because he's trying to run this kind of psychiatry office, which no psychiatrist, no decent psychiatrist will let any patient run their uh, room. There's on their time, so they gotta take charge. Which I appreciate this. Psychiatrist is like, sit down, be quiet, tell me what's going on with you. Which any decent psychiatrist will tell you, like, you don't let the patient just run the room. You gotta take the reins a bit. So she, wrote some kind of prescription to help him kind of like relax a bit. But she expects him to, see her soon, but which you never do in this film. But she notices that, like, clearly do you want to speak about your childhood or something like that? No, clearly he doesn't want to talk about that. Clearly has some kind of like scars. But then again, but when he gets the next time he's home, he notices this kid again sitting on his chair eating a bowl of popcorn. And he started to notice certain things about this kid, like certain birthmarks, certain knowledge he has, and realize this little kid is him at 8 years old, or he's about to be 8 in a few days. And so now he doesn't, his whole world is turning upside down. He doesn't know how this is happening. So he wants to get rid of his kid, but he doesn't know how. He meets up with Amy, and he lies something like, oh, this is my nephew. It's like, I'm just looking after him. But she thinks something's up because this kid is like acting too much like, Rust. And there's some weird edits here. Like, after, this business lunch Rust and Amy is having with these other clients, it quickly cuts to Rust and Rusty on the road, and little Rusty starts bawling. It's like, I was crying, and it's like, there might be a deleted scene somewhere, because he's completely fine by the time they left the restaurant, and by the time they're on the road, he's in tears. There's like a blip somewhere that's kind of skipped over. That's kind of like a weird edit that was taken out for some reason, because clearly maybe older Rust says something you know, upsetting that puts a little boy in tears, and that's where we jumped here. That part is maybe it's I don't know sure what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe something got had to be edited for time or something, and they thought this part was a decent sacrifice. Maybe. I kind of wish that maybe in the theatrical it makes sense, but when you put it out on like DVD or in this case streaming or something, they would have include like the unedited parts or the deleted scenes, and that's why I think like most films these day and age, anything that's a deleted scene, by the time it reaches like a DVD or a streaming, that should automatically be included, just off rip, in my opinion. Uh, so uh, uh, they end up going to meet up with another client who's about to get married, this boxer, and overhearing the fact that Russ having you know problems at school with like bullies and stuff like that, and then Russ figures like, oh, that's right, maybe the kid's seeing me because he's having trouble at school. He needs, self defense, and they'll probably, help him out. So I'm gonna have this like boxer client of mine teach him some boxing moves, so that way he can properly defend himself, so he doesn't seem like like Cecil was blah blah blah. Uh, but Amy then come to realize, oh, through the actions between Rust and Rusty, she come to realize, oh, this is because she thought this was his son at first, and think like Rust is like some kind of deadbeat dad. But it comes to turns out that, oh, this is uh, a younger version of him, and I kind of appreciate this movie because the whole, most, not everyone, but at least the important, at least two important people in Russ's life is aware and upfront, and Russ is upfront about this is his little version of himself, and they're not like freak. Well, they freak out, but they're not making a whole big deal. They just kind of willing to accept that after the initial shock, and they can just move on, which I appreciate. They don't take up the whole entire 5-minute scene for them to get over themselves. So Amy thinks like, oh, this is like a rare opportunity. It's like, I think I think he's very cute, and Russ doesn't think so. And it's like, don't you think like he looks pathetic? It's like, aren't you like a bit like weirded out and disgusted? And Amy looks to him, and he look mark of a great actor, just looks at him and says sorrow and pity. And it's like, and she just asks like, why do you not like yourself? And which is like a thing throughout up to this point. uh Russ, seems to like be annoyed, not only just what the kid is doing or saying half the time, it's just the sheer, just the look at him probably brings up like traumatic memories that he has been spending his entire life pushing to the recesses of his mind, and is drudging it all back up. They end up going to the boxer's wedding, and little Rusty took notice on how like oh well, first they end up going because one of the kids who's supposed to be in the ring bearer got sick, so the only other person to fit like the suit, because it's meant for like a pudgy kid, and Russ happens to fit it. So he walking down as the ring bearer, and he trips and falls on his face, and like it makes me laugh. I don't know why it always cracks me up. It's just the pratfall of it all. It's just like the unsuspecting pratfall that makes it, truly funny. Slapsticks, from time to time tends to work. But anyway, Russ tends to notice that because while he's, laying in a house with his older version of himself, and he tends to ask him certain questions, and it's like, okay, first of all, you probably shouldn't be spoiling things to your younger self because it might alter some stuff. But little Rusty is, crying out for Chester, Chester, Chester. Like, kid, what are you doing? And I'm looking for our dog, Chester. There's no dog here. It's like, what? I always thought when I grow up, I'll have like a dog named Chester. And it's like, nope, I, didn't get no dog because I'm busy at work. I don't have time to look after a dog. Do you at least like fly planes? I always wanted to fly a plane. It's like, I gave up that too, kid. Well, you're almost 40. Don't you have like girl in the house? Nope, no girl. And it's like, oh my god, I grew up to be a loser. And it's kind of like wild. Just to hear that from yourself is just like kind of meta in a way. Probably like the ultimate meta. Uh, so, uh, because he asking all these questions, is like, when do I get my first car? You when I get my first license? When you turn 16. When I get my first car? When you turn 18. When I get my first hickey? When you turn 17. And it's like, well, and he mentions to Rusty, like, look, kid, it's not all bad, okay? Sure, middle school and high school, you're kind of a nerd. You will get picked on, but you're smart. You bust your butt to get into college. You get your master's degree. Uh, get in the gym. You get a little fit. Uh, you eventually lose that lish. Uh, uh, you get that speech impediment. That gets a little. You go to speech therapy and get rid of that. Uh, so, uh, it all turns out well, kid. But who's little Rusty, who was like not understanding what he does for a living, kind of like broke it down in a very simple terms for a little kid to understand. Oh, I finally get what you do. You tell people, uh, uh, how did they phrase it? Uh, you're training people to pretend to be somebody else, and it's just that simple breaking it down because when you think about it, why would you want to be someone you're not, kind of thing. Um, but anyway, Russ took notice how him and Amy interact with each other, and he's trying to get you know Russ' attention because he is not making his time, even despite him saying like, "Oh, it's very important," and of course, being an adult, you really we know better now than we used to. Where like a young kid is trying to get your attention, you should at least give them a couple of minutes to see what it is because you don't know, and because the whole trope about kids should be seen not heard is by and large thrown out the window because that's kind of like detriment to a child in the long run, and it should give them the time. uh but uh the kid took it upon himself to go and propose to Amy, which is like, what the heck? And then Russ sees this and he takes the two somewhere private to talk, and he asks Amy like, what was he gonna say? And she wasn't gonna give him like an answer, uh, but then things seems to like them getting growing closer to each other. But then the news, a coincidental news report pops up about that sports stadium guy who had that video that they took of him getting a pie in the face by a bunch of kids, even though Russ tossed it out, claiming that, yeah, like, I do this, she thought like, oh, it was a nice gesture from him to her, knowing that this guy's kind of like a scumbag and, should not be helped. But he went dumpster diving and got the tape back and put it up there. And so she thought like, oh wow, you just when I thought you might be opening up a little bit, you pull some stunt like this, and it hurts me because like I see what you used to be right here, literally, and how like a good person you used to be, but now you grow up to be this kind of like a hole, and it just makes it all the worse. So she walks away, and then Rust ends up going to meet up with that news reporter, and he confessed to her because she's so easy to talk to, and confessed about the whole situation. And he asked her, what would she do in his situation, and she, tells him like, without spoil anything, I would tell little Deidre like it's all gonna work out just fine. So don't worry your sweet little head. And she makes a point to him that maybe he's not here for you to fix his life. Maybe he's here to fix something that's wrong in your life. So on the day of their official birthday, Russ spends the day with little Rusty and tries to ask some questions about this time of his. And it's like, because he's been repressing it for, his childhood for so long. Now he can ask some questions like, do you remember, this kid that, was my friend, but then he got popular and went and joined a bunch of bullies and stuff like that and started picking on folks. It's like, I don't remember none of that. But eventually, after some more probing, he comes to recall the three-legged dog that little Rusty tried to protect but failed to do so from these bullies. So, and there's been this suspicious red plane that's flying all over the place throughout this film. And as the Rusties go through this tunnel, they transported back to 1968 and seeing this red plane again coming out the tunnel with them. So they end up driving to little Rusty's school, and he's a grown man standing outside a freaking school very weirdly. So I'm shocked that nobody said anything or done anything like, excuse me, sir, like, are you a parent or something? It was kind of weird for some strange dude just gawking outside of a school. But anyway, Russ reminds little Rusty, look, I'm here. Don't worry. Just remember the 1-2 punch that you was taught. And I'm glad he pointed out. Look, he's gonna try to sucker punch you, and you will end up going down like a sack of potatoes. So you gotta look out for that. But like, don't worry, I'm here. So those kids end up taking little Rusty, because Russ, told him like, look, they're gonna try to take you back under the guise of them being friends and trying to be nice, but don't fall for it. They're trying to trap you. They're gonna try to beat you up. So just look out for this and this and this. So the sequence, of events occur, but then little Rusty, remember how the fight and knocks out the kid and sits on him. It's like, say uncle. And so he ends up fighting back the bullies and then saving the three-legged dog. But then uh, the school, uh, the principal and the possibly like a teacher hears about this, ends up calling little Rusty's house, uh, and the mom to come pick up Rusty because of the whole fight. Even though it's like, I get it, it's very close to the 70s, so it's like, they they didn't. I'm not sure like how it was back then for like school, but I just recall certain moments. And when I was growing up in school, when two kids get in a fight, it'd be like trying to figure out, okay, who started the fight, what happened, whatever like that. But Rusty seemed like the only one that's getting quote unquote in trouble. Where's the other kids? That seemed kind of effed up. Uh, but we all know kids or been there ourselves as middle schoolers when something goes awry and only one person getting in trouble. Uh, that you know, if they didn't really instigate the fight or whatever the case may be, then yeah, like if that person should be the only one in trouble. But like trying to make sure everything is even, everybody gets their little dose of punishment in some minor fashion, just so nobody's being favoritized or anything. This is all cap. It's bringing up bad memories for me too, because from like time when I was in middle school, it's crap. Anyway, uh, then older Rust sees his mom for the first time in years because she's long since passed away, and it comes to turn. We come to learn that she had terminal cancer, and while she should have been resting, she had to go and pick up her son while the dad was at work. And this is when, like, he come to realize, like, oh, the fight wasn't is only the first part of this whole ordeal of his past trauma. The second half was the catalyst. So the the dad comes home from work, and he escorts the mom back inside because he's like worried and freaking out, and then he snaps on Rusty because he's upset. He's kind of shaking the kid, which we see the origin of his little eye twitch and why, he avoids crying or is very abrasive against people crying in front of him. It's like, telling them to grow up after his father told him how he needs to just grow up, stop crying, grow up, that kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure people see this scene, which is a very powerful scene, I gotta admit, it might drug up a lot of memories for a lot of people in that kind of situation where their parents are just yelling at them, and half the time they don't know or getting the wrong interpretation of why they're just screaming at them like that. Rusty then walks back over to Rust, and Rust just gives himself a hug, and he admits to the kid, like, because the kid knows what's up. It's like, is my mom gonna die? Is our mom gonna die? And Rust's like, yeah. And it's like, when does it happen? Not too long before your next birthday. But it's not your fault. Dad didn't mean those things. He was just upset because of the fact that he is scared by the fact that he's gonna have to raise his children by himself. And he despite his teasing about the kids' weight, he says, like, it's our birthday, we're going to indulge ourselves with like smoothie, burgers, and fries. This is like a nice little simple birthday, you know? It's just like, I think we all, for our birthdays, we should, unless you're dealing with some kind of substance abuse or whatever, we should be able to indulge ourselves on our birthdays on some stuff that we normally would not spend too much time eating, if at all. And they dip in their fries and shake, which I tried one time, and it's like it wasn't for me because I tried to do it. I think because the first time in a very very long time, I went to Wendy's like a few months after the whole lockdown during the pandemic, and decided like, okay, I want to try this. So like I bought the milkshake and the fries and all the other stuff, and then I dipped the fry because that's what people have been raving about since for the whole time I was growing up. They talk about, oh, it's so good. You dip, Wendy's fries in those shakes. Maybe back in the day when the meals were kind of like built different, because they probably changed some ingredients and some stuff since the time that we were kids. So maybe I missed the boat because when I tried it, it wasn't all that special to me. It's like people raving about this. It's like, why? So I don't know. Maybe I missed the boat on that. They probably changed the fry ingredients or something. I don't know. So they go back to this mysterious diner that keeps popping up at this, airport area, where those little like biplanes and stuff, or private airships, they'll be at, and it, while inside, they, get, greeted by this golden retriever. At least it seems like a golden retriever. I don't know my like dogs like that, but here this mysterious guy call out to the dog, Chester, come on, and they get a shocked expression. Chester, they run out and they see this old man, bringing his family inside this plane, and he walks over to them, and it's older Rusty, like around his like 70s. It's about to, I'm pretty sure, the same birthday, so he should be 70. And it was him who, organized this mysterious meetup. How? Don't know. But he was the one that left the toy plane at 40s Rusty's doorstep, trying to help him out, help his younger selves out through their traumatic past. But they look over and see that he ended up marrying Amy and having, like, obviously, children. And it's like, he tells him, like, you'll figure it out. And he looks over the younger wrestler like, it's great to see you. It was great to see you again, kid. And I gotta say, Bruce Willis and Spencer Breslin had great chemistry, honestly. And Bruce was, from what I hear, like, does great work with a lot of movies with, starring kids. And his camaraderie with them has always been, like, from what I've understand, on point. So I like this dynamic. He's just finally embracing, his kind of kid side again. Now he kind of got over this little hump. And he just turns around and he's back to the present day. Young Rusty is gone. Older Rusty is gone. So he ended up buying a young little puppy, names it Chester, and just, meets up with Amy at her house. And the movie ends. And oh, by the way, there's this thing where the Rusty asks him a bunch of series of kind of questions. One of them kind of, it's like, I wouldn't say dumb, but he's always, kids be curious, and he asks about why the moon is always orange, and I'm gonna, just to facilitate that question, because back in the day we didn't have like quick access to like, phones and Google and all this other stuff. You actually have to go to the library and research this up. Or if you have access to home internet, you can just look it up there, or dial up or whatever. Okay. The moon looks orange when it's close to the horizon because its light has to travel through more atmosphere to reach your eyes. The atmosphere scatters blue light more than red, orange, and yellow light, so only the warmer colors reach your eyes. Uh, so that's why the moon look orange. In case you always, but they'll explain it in the film at the tail end. So stick through throughout the movie if you want to know that question. But yeah, and that's where the movie ends. Excuse me. And this is like a charming movie. And the director made a lot of very charming films and good feeling films. And man, the whole dynamic with, I kind of wish that, because Russ ends up spending time with his dad, helping him move and stuff like that. He comes around on that, but I kind of wish that we actually see like a moment with him and his dad having some kind of heart to heart, and the dad, apologizing, like, I shouldn't have yelled at you like that. I wanted to apologize for years, and I never got a chance to do so. But I'm glad you taking the time out with me so I can actually, express, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have yelled at you like that as a kid. You didn't understand, and I wasn't helping. And they have some kind of like heart to heart kind of thing. I kind of wish we get to see that, because we all had some kind of thing in our childhood that, because honestly, like, what would you, leave a comment below. What would you say to your 8 to 10-year-old self now that you're older? Like, what advice would you give without spoiling anything to your younger selves, because you don't want to ruin your timeline? Because I'm not sure what I say to myself. Because I would have told my younger self, like, look, you're going to go through some stuff here and there. You're going to make your way through it. There going to be some kind of a-holy people. But keep your head up. Know that you're loved. Even though they might not have any kind of respect for you, you can have your respect for yourself, and that's what ultimately matters. Try to stand up for yourself whenever you can, knowing that you'll be all right. And those who actually, care for you and stick by you, know, those are the ones that you keep in your corner as much as you can. And I probably will give them a little bit of like dating advice, like how to like navigate, because sure, some of these girls might think like you're kind of lame, but don't worry about that. Okay, you keep on business, work hard, because yes, it's gonna suck for a minute, but as long as you got your priorities about yourself, they will come to you. Don't go around chasing these girls, because especially if they aren't giving you the time of day, you just keep on your business, and they will end up coming to you, because the right girl will see what you are all about and will respect that. And like I said, have respect for yourself, and have some confidence about yourself, and believe in yourself, and it's all going to work well. That was kind of would have been like an advice I would probably give to myself, just truncate it a bit. But yeah, that was Disney's The Kid. It's like a decent like story about like a kid having his little father issues and stuff like that, but not unsalvageable. But anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit with another movie. It's going to be like back to back here, and then the next time to wrap up the Father's Day movie reviews will be another two-parter this coming Thursday. So look out for that, and it's going to be fun. It's one of my favorite films. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Be safe.